So now I'm going to go over chapter 5, the second lesson, and I think there's 2 more after this, so stay tuned. So we're going to open the PS 0502 document and hit OK, and you've got an image of a kite flying in the sky. So this time we are going to use the magic wand. But first, save as, add the underscore work, and put it in your documents, please and thank you. Alright, the magic wand is hidden under the quick selection. And like I said, all your selection tools are grouped together here. So if you're looking for a selection tool, you know it's in the first section. Your default tolerance here is 32, and it's always been 32. I'm not sure why it's 32. It seems like a strange number to me, but that's what the default is. So if this number is smaller, it will select less. So it's selecting things within a range of tones is what it's looking for. So that means it's thinking about color, but also about shadow and highlights within that color. So if I select this red, it's only going to select what's in that same range. And so let's say I change this to 10, and then I select this darker shade. It's only going to select, or even, let's select that again. It's going to select less of the particular range of colors because my tolerance is less. On the other hand, if I made it 100 and I selected maybe this orange, it's going to select not only the orange, but it's also going to go into the orange and the red, or yellow, colorblind today, the yellow and the red, because those colors are closely related to orange, and so as you increase this number, it's going to pick up more different tones and shades. So anyway, like I said, 32 is the default, and that's usually going to be an okay place to start. Alright, so I'm going to deselect. Control D is what I just did. And then I'm going to select in the sky. And you know it's selected if you have this cursor that's got a white arrow with a box. And you know it's not selected if when you hover over it, it's got the magic wand. And so I need to add this blue sky in as well. So I'm going to hold down Shift, and I get the plus sign, and then I'm going to select that blue sky as well. Depending on where you clicked in here, you might have to select more of the sky, or it might have done it all together, and you don't have to do anything. If I hold down Alt, that's going to remove something. But this image is really high contrast, so at a tolerance of 32, it's going to be really hard to pick up part of the kite and not the sky. Like it's the blue and the red are not closely enough related in color that you would accidentally pick up the kite. So it should be pretty easy to do that, and you don't have to remove from your selection. But that is how you do it. You also have these icons up here. This would be add to your selection if you've got quite a bit you want to add to it instead of holding down Shift. And then this would be instead of holding down Alt, it would remove the selection. And then this one is something about the overlap. I don't know. We never use that. So this first one starts a new selection. So it would deselect what you've already got and then start a new selection if you have it on this, which is usually what we want. So you don't really need to mess with those. And then we're going to go up to select, and then hit inverse. And so now my sky is not selected, my kite is selected. And just something to point out also in here is if you accidentally deselect and you're like, oh, I really wanted that selected, and you don't want to take the time to go back and do it again, which for this one isn't a big problem, but in the future it might. So there's a reselect option, whatever your last selection was. Okay, so now we're gonna add a filter to the kite, and so filters are here. And on the last one you used the blur filter, but on this one we're gonna use the sharpen filter. If you've ever done digital photography before, you know that sometimes you have an image that's slightly blurry, and a lot of people are like, oh, I can fix that in Photoshop. Well, you really can't, but whatever you can do is going to be in this sharpen filter, usually with the unsharp mask. So click the unsharp mask, slide around in your preview until you actually see the kite, because that's what we're worried about here. And then in the amount, you're going to type 150, and the radius should stay at 1, and then the threshold should be 10. Preview is checked, so I could uncheck it and see what it's doing. Or I can, if I click and hold on this and then release, I can see the difference. That's actually a little more helpful. So when I release it, that's what it would look like if I left it at those settings. So again, it'll refine your edges a little bit, but the problem is it starts to look really fake, especially if you increase that radius. See how it just looks crazy? When you're doing digital photography, you really don't want to use the sharpen filter very much because it just looks fake. So you can hit OK. And we're going to talk more about what I just talked about, the unsharp mask, and sort of making your image better. That's in a later chapter though. And you can deselect, and really that's all we're going to do to this file. So you can go ahead and turn it in.